Never mind all that. Who cares? Because today...
I wonder if anyone just skips like that first bit.
No, people don't skip it. They just click off the video. Yeah! Welcome back, you beautiful lot. What?
You were doing that.
Welcome back to Music Is It Good Though, the best show on the internet that's presented by the two of us and reviews music on a weekly basis. My name is... Sit down now and stop messing about. And I'm here with my co-host,
Bames.
This week we will be discussing a fairly new album that's come out. But before we get into that, what have you been listening to since we last spoke?
So I think on the last one I mentioned about downloading the Better Oblivion Community Centre album, which is the Phoebe Bridgers collaboration with Conor Oberst. I'd never heard anything by that guy, but that's really good.
Okay.
Like, that's up there with Boy Genius for me.
Right.
Yeah, another example of Phoebe Bridgers' genius.
Yeah, you're a proper, super fan now, aren't you?
I know. She better watch out when I go and see her.
Let's not make it threatening.
I'm not going to
John
Lennon. How about you?
Highlight over the past week, first thing that comes to mind is best album name ever, in that it's hilarious. Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness by the Smashing Pumpkins. I recognised a few songs from it, but the ones that I didn't recognise were still really good. I was surprised by how heavy some of the riffs are in it as well.
Yeah, I've only heard, some of the previous albums by Smashing Pumpkins are pretty hard rock.
Yeah. I think I was expecting something, because it's 90s alt rock, I was thinking Plum Tree is usually what I compare people to, but it was a lot heavier than that, and really good, and I enjoyed that quite a lot.
How long is that album?
Quite long, I think it's an hour and a half. It's a double album. Never mind all that. Who cares? Because today...
I wonder if anyone just skips like that first bit.
No, people don't skip it. They just click off the video.
Yeah.
We should start discussing that at the end instead, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Get straight into the review. And
Never mind all that. And then just go.
So this week we've been reviewing a new album by James, which is called...
Be Opened by the Wonderful.
Indeed. Interesting point about that title, because the reason why we listen to this is because my partner Rach, she's a big fan of James.
Band.
Yeah. And that title is from one of their songs. I can't remember the name of that song, but that song's not on this album.
Right, okay.
So
I would not have a clue.
Yeah.
Well, this is the first the album of this type that we've listened to, isn't it? Because it's essentially a greatest hits, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And it's also a reimagining. For the fans out there, we did mention, I think, a few weeks back that Def Leppard had done something similar.
Another one to have done something similar with it recently-ish, maybe about a year ago, Robbie Williams has done it as well. The album Life Through a Lens. Do you remember that one that I said it came up on my list right near the beginning of when I started, and I was like, this is actually pretty good. Yeah. He did an orchestral version of that as well.
Yeah. Metallica have done it twice.
Are they?
With astounding results.
Right. Yeah. So I think it's the first time I've listened to an album in full that's been reimagined orchestrally. So what are your preconceptions of James?
Well, I always think that I've only ever heard one song by them, which is Sit Down, and then people tell me Ladies by them, because I always think that's an American band.
Right.
For some reason, I don't know why.
Because it's on American Pie. It's on every American Pie film.
Yeah. I've heard Say Something before, but I didn't recognise any of the other songs on this, I don't think.
Do you know Star?
Oh, She's a Star.
Yeah,
I have heard that as well. Yeah, so I just don't know of James. If people tell me James, I just think Sit Down.
Yeah.
But if people mention the other songs, I'm like, oh.
It's one of them bands where you might think you've only heard one song, but there's actually more than you expect that have kind of just made it to the mainstream and you forget about, I guess.
I do like those songs, but as you can tell, they haven't made me investigate them any further.
Right, yeah.
So, with it being one of Rachel's favourite bands, are you quite well versed in James then? Not
really, no, because... it's a band where she said it was basically because every Christmas, I think James does a gig in Manchester because it's the hometown.
Right.
And because we're 20 minutes away from there, her and her family would kind of part of the Christmas tradition is to go and watch James most years. So, yeah. But I guess her and her family all like them. So she's kind of, I guess it's got more of like a sentimental value as well, because it's anchored to those nice Christmas memories with family. I knew a couple more songs than you've mentioned, but I didn't know most of the songs on this. I think Rach doesn't tend to listen to music like through speakers. If she's listening to it, it's usually driving somewhere or through headphones. So like every now and then, well, usually if we drive somewhere, it's me driving in my car, so it wouldn't be her playlist that's on anyway. So yeah, like I know a few bands that Rach listens to. We've been together for like 12, 11 years. But yeah, I don't actually know what she listens to. Yeah.
One day I'll strike up a conversation with her as well.
Too busy for that. She knew a handful more songs. She didn't know every song on this, because some of them are quite new. One of them that I did know she didn't, which surprised me. But
one of them was like brand new for this project. The second one, I read up on it. They released it especially for this. Love Make a Fool.
Right. It was Beautiful Beaches that I recognised that Rach didn't, which I think came out in 2021.
Right, okay.
So it's been a good few years. Like, we're talking in her teen years or something that she'd go every year to go and watch James. She's not done it since I've been with her, so...
Under lock and key.
Exactly, she ain't going there. My preconceptions were similarly to you, really. I know we're like Sit Down. I know we're like Layered. When like we first started dating, not you and me and Rach.
We split up ages ago.
Yeah, we split up 5 years ago.
You and Rach have been together for 12.
Yeah. When I knew that she liked James, I did look into them a bit more, and that's when I realised that I knew stuff like She's a Star. But I've not really looked into them that much more since then. So, yeah, she wanted us to listen to this and see what we thought of it. She hadn't listened to the orchestral version, by the way, so she didn't know if it was any good before wanting us to review it.
Has she listened to it now?
Mostly, yeah, in my car driving around.
Right.
So, what did you make of it?
It was okay. It was overly long. It was an hour and a half again, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, but when you consider they've been going for a long time, they've got a lot of songs to put onto a hits album for the, like, I guess for the run-of-the-mill person that's not a massive fan of them, then it's like, oh god, that's long. But if you are a fan, and that's realistically who this is targeted at, isn't it?
100%, yeah.
So it's not likely to make many new fans, because if you don't like James, why would you go out and buy this or even search for it? But for the fans of it, having an album that long and going through so much catalogue, it makes sense.
Yeah, I think you've just summed up my thoughts on the album perfectly. It's okay, but it's not going to win me over to go on in... Like, when I think of a greatest hits album, I think that's what it's designed to do, though. I think it's meant to be like an introduction to the band, so then do you go and investigate the deeper cuts? But
I would agree if it was just a straightforward greatest hits album, a reimagined greatest hits album. I don't know, even if you do like the stuff on this, you wouldn't necessarily like the original stuff anyway, and likewise you might not like the stuff on this, so you might just go, god, this is awful, but then if you came across the originals you could really like them.
Yeah,
so
there's nothing awful on the album, but I do think that the songs that I did know, they're not changed for the better by having the orchestra. Like She's a Star does, I don't know, it loses something. Sit Down definitely loses something. I don't know if it's like the urgency on it, like the anthemicness of it just isn't there. There were a few songs on there, like Sometimes, is that the first track?
I think so, yeah.
Like that I did really like, but again, coming from a point of never having heard the original, so I have no idea what's changed there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get what you mean. Yeah. I did enjoy it. I think I quite like... I guess, do you listen to much orchestral stuff anyway?
No, not on its own. Like I said, the only time I would listen to orchestral stuff is if I'm, for some reason, going back listening to Nightwish.
Okay.
Or if I'm listening to Metallica's S&M album.
Yeah, so it's not like you'd go out looking for... I quite fancy some Beethoven or something today.
Christ, no.
Okay. Because I don't mind... Like, one of the records I've got is Holst, which is The Planets. And I quite like orchestral stuff anyway. Like, I've been to go and see an orchestra before. So I guess from that perspective of it just being an orchestral album wouldn't necessarily put me off. And I did like the reimaginings of it. However, I would agree that the songs I did recognise sounded better on the original ones.
Yeah.
So I think it's very much, like we've said already, it's made for the fans who want...
They'll probably appreciate it more.
Yeah, those songs that they already love, they can now listen to it again but different.
Yeah. Well, it's the same with me with Metallica stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm not a Metallica
interesting.
fan, and I wouldn't seek out an orchestral Metallica album. So
well, I did find those some of them were reimaginings, to be fair, but a lot of them were just the same song but with an orchestra behind them.
right,
I guess this in a way is a bit more
focused on the orchestra.
a bit more adventurous. In that, like I said, they have changed the structure of the songs and stuff. Mm-hmm. One of the songs that I did like on there is the shortest song on there. I just remembered it, and it's just where it's just the vocals. Why So Close?
Yes,
I found that really interesting.
Because the next one was called Medieval, and then I was thinking, well, that last one sounded kind of medieval because
It sounded like a sea shanty in a way.
yeah, it did make me want to look into some of the songs that I didn't recognise, which I guess is a difference to what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that, I've not got around to it yet, so there's no sense of urgency to actually do that.
It was going anyway.
Yeah, it was fun to hear, like that Beautiful Beaches song. Don't know where I've heard it, but I definitely recognised it, and it was fun to hear that and then kind of go back to the version that I liked anyway, and I guess hear the differences. The super fans of James are going to get that with every song. Like, I really like that one song, so I could kind of relate to it there, but then the other ones that I don't know, it's just, okay, this is fun, but moving on.
Yeah.
Top tracks for you?
That one I'll just mention, Why So Close. We're Gonna Miss You. Mm-hmm. And Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about you?
I really like Beautiful Beaches. It's probably my favourite. I quite liked, although I know you said it lost a lot of the oomph, which I would agree, I still really did like the new version of Sit Down. I like that that it kind of goes throughout. And Tomorrow, the hook from that has been stuck in my head much more than anything that's on this. That now your grip's too strong, you can't something love with a net or a can't catch love with a net or a gun. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And that one, to be fair, I tell a lie earlier. I have gone back and listened to the original of that because, yeah, I do really like that one.
Anything you don't like?
I didn't like the reimagining of Blade.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah, I think that lost too much going orchestral. But, yeah, other than that, I enjoyed everything to a degree on there. I wouldn't say that I loved much on there, but I did enjoy the majority of it.
Yeah, I don't really like the new song that they'd made. That Love Make a Fool.
Yeah, to be fair, I can't even remember that one. Yeah. So it didn't stand out to me. It didn't stand out as something that I thought was terrible, but didn't stand out enough for me to remember it.
No.
So putting a number on it,
I'm going to say 4. Just because it's, again, I'm judging it purely based on the fact that it's the greatest hits collection. I know you said, like, with it being a reimagining, probably it's more for the fans than new people, but it's not led me to think, I'm going to go and listen to James. I'm not even going to go and listen to the original versions of these, because the songs themselves just weren't interesting enough for me.
Yeah. I'm going to go for a 6.5, because I was between a 6 and a 7. Yeah, I did enjoy it. Not enough to kind of get excited for it and go looking things up, but I did enjoy it, and I liked the orchestral side of it for the most part. There was only the one song that I didn't like, and a lot of songs that I did like, so it'd be cruel for me to go lower than that, I feel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 6.5.
What was Rachel's thoughts on it?
She liked it. What we've discussed already about the fans of it liking listening to those songs they already know but different. It was like that. Okay. Like I say, there were some songs that she didn't recognise, the newer stuff, but she did like listening to those old ones in a new form. You said 4, I said 6.5, which brings us 5.25 out of 10.
Yeah.
Which will lead us just into music being good. Therefore, you're allowed to listen to music this week. We'll allow it. Yeah. You can put your books away. You can put your studies away and listen to music. Join us next week when we'll be listening to this album that's at the top of the screen now. Wow. And in the meantime, stay funky.
Bye.
And we'll see you on the B-side.